Hi, Trevor here, reflecting on life through music. Welcome and thank you for stopping by. Well, we're continuing on with the ELO story today, and I trust you enjoyed my commentary on Xanadu last time, and we talked about that sometimes there is magic all around us. We just look around to see how amazing this world is, and how amazing the things that we see every day are, and how amazing we all are as individuals. So I trust you enjoyed my commentary on Xanadu last time. We're continuing on with the story, and as a young fan, I suppose in 1977 myself, I just completed year 7 of primary school, and I discovered this group called ELO. Interestingly, on their Discovery album. That's quite funny. And so any releases they made after that date were brand new for me and brand new for the world. And so I got to experience what it was like when one of my favourite bands released a new album. That was really cool. So up till now we've had the formation in 1970, album in 71, 2 in 73, 1 in 74, 1 in 75, 1 in 76, 1 in 77, world tour in 78, 1 in 79, Xanadu in 1980, which is a movie release which Jeff wrote half the soundtrack for. And then we get to 1981, and yes, we have an album in 1981. And I actually got it here. I've got the album cover, because I need to read off the back of it just for the songs today. And it was the 1981 release, Time. Now, one of the things I start to realise about Time, and I mentioned this last time with particularly the song All Over the World, was that the ELO sound was transitioning from a strings-based sound to synthesizers. Not as a tool for completely changing the sound, but as a tool to enhance the sound. And so what the album Time did, it built on what Jeff had learnt during the Xanadu album, and we have absolutely synthesizer laden tracks on this Time album. It's almost like if you think of the name Electric Light Orchestra, it's almost like the orchestra part of the band was dwindling out, and the electric light part of the name was taking over. I just thought about that the other day. Electric Light Orchestra. It kind of makes sense. It's just such a brilliantly chosen name for this particular band. And so I had to have a listen to this album the other day, just to remind myself about the prevalence of strings in this particular album. I think when you listen to albums, often you don't really contemplate all of the elements in there, because you just get so wound up with the tracks and the songs. But there are still quite a few strings in these tracks, and it's just that they're not so obviously there, but they are still there, and they still add to the sound. So I suppose this is the last album really where we saw the strings to this extent. They were starting to leave at this point. And also at this point too, on the credited on the album, there were just 4 people. We've got Jeff, obviously, playing guitar, producing, songwriting, singing, all the stuff he does. We've got Bevan on drums, and of course he was around since the band started. We've got Kelly Grouchett on bass and backup vocals, and of course Kelly's been around since the El Dorado album, so that's some 8 years earlier, because this album was released in 1981. And then we've got Richard Tandy, who came very early on in 1972. We didn't have the strings, like the 2 cellos and the violin, listed as credits on this particular album. I think Jeff was starting to really go away from that, even though we've got strings still so quite prominently on this album. This album has been hailed by many as a breakthrough album. It sold really, really well again. Not in the UK in particular, it did really, really well there, and it's still hailed as a brilliant album. And it was hailed because it is a story wrapped up in time travel. How do we know there's time travel in here? Well, the album opens with this song Prologue, and it is just on the borders of your waking mind lies another time with darkness and light. And as you travel the halls of sanity, you will be so glad to be unable to go beyond. I have a message from another time. Now, I remember when I first heard the prologue, because this song goes into Twilight, which is probably one of my favourite ELO songs. It really is an absolute masterpiece of a song, and Jeff even admits in his commentary on the album that it's got really strong chords and it goes into really unexpected places. We know it's time travel because in the second song after Twilight is yours truly, 2095. So there's a bit of a hint that this is a song about time travel. We have things about time travel, getting away on a time travel machine. But the story's really about it's the journey of a man who I think is feeling a bit lost, and so he thinks he's escaped by going into another time. So it's a really, really good album, this one. And I suppose I just wanted to quickly tell the story to you if I could, because even though this album is like a time travel album, I think the album's really talking about being in a bit of a strange place, a bit of an unusual place, a place that's unfamiliar. And I talked about this concept in Hotel California when I covered that song from the Eagles, and also A New Kid in Town, which also covers this to a certain extent. So if you look at the song, and I'll just bring the album up so I can read it, we had Prologue, which I talked about earlier, and Twilight, which is, I suppose, just sets the scene about going to a different place. Yours truly, 2095, that talks about, going out with a robot. Well, we can interpret that as being, going out with someone new who's just not as familiar as the person that they had in the past. Then we got Ticket to the Moon. And Ticket to the Moon, one of the lines is, what more can I say? It's just one way. Oh my goodness, it just really pulls at your heartstrings, that one. He's got a ticket to the moon. And then it's just the way life's meant to be. And one of the lines, a couple of the lines in there, one is, I wish I could go back to 1981, which is obviously when this album was released. And also, I wish I could see you again because I know what you mean to me. That song's got a really good Latin American feel to it, so it's a good one. Another Heartbreaks, well, that's an instrumental, but again, bit of inspiration of the Shadows with the way the guitar sounds in that one. Yeah, that's just obvious. His heart is broken. Rain is Falling, same deal. Beautiful synthesizers in this with the way that the rain is falling in this song. The rain is falling. It's obvious life is not going well. Then we got From the End of the World and The Lights Go Down. Both of those songs are talking about that, life just is not good. Life is unfamiliar, and I just want to go back to how things were. We then got the song Here Is the News. And, even though he's having a dig here at the way news sometimes sensationalizes things, does it? I think it does. One of the key lines in there is, here is the news, I want to go home, I want my baby back. So that's really really telling me what this album's all about. 21st century man, I think what he's saying there is, actually, I'm not a 21st century man. I do actually belong in 1981, and that's probably where my home really is. So it's a bit of a realisation song. It's also one of these epic ballads that Jeff writes, and probably one of the pivotal songs on the album. And then we've got Hold On Tight, which is just a full-blown rock number, Hold On Tight to Your Dreams. Then we've got an epilogue, which just talks about, as you go through the fields of tomorrow, don't ever forget where you're from. Then an entry in this re-release, which I've got here, there's a song on the very last song which didn't make the album, Julie Don't Live Here. And I'll put this album down now and take the glasses off too, actually, because I don't need them for looking at this camera. It was interesting, Julie Don't Live Here Anymore. When you hear that song, and obviously Julie doesn't live here anymore, she's gone. It feels like a tribute to ABBA, that particular song. The way the keyboards are and the way the piano is in there and the harmonies, it just feels like a tribute to ABBA, because of course when ELO were big, ABBA was big as well. So I think that's just a tribute to Benny and Bjorn, the songwriters of ABBA. I think I read that somewhere, I can't remember where, but it does feel very much like a tribute to them. I do know that also there's another band called Asia, who I talked about a little while ago now, who did a tribute to the Electric Light Orchestra in one of their songs too. So that's really cool when you hear that sort of stuff going on. I do like that very much. So I suppose I've got the song Twilight with the prologue because it's just one of my favourite songs, and I'm also focusing on Hold On Tight. Now Hold On Tight was a single released off this album. And what are we holding on tight to? We're holding on tight to our dreams. Now, dreams are one of these things. I think it was Walt Disney that coined the line, a dream is a wish the heart makes. There's something nice about that. I think that came in Cinderella, I think it was. Dreams are these things that, what is a dream? Obviously, dream, there is no what we do at night, that is dreams. But I'm talking about when we set some kind of goal and some sort of vision based on a dream that we might have. I mean, going back to Disneyland, I suppose Walt Disney, when he was sitting in a park watching his grandchildren on the merry-go-round, he dreamt of a new entertainment experience. And from that, and with help from people around him who could bring his dream to reality, he actually saw his dream of Walt Disney World, the Magic Kingdom, and the places in Florida in particular come to life. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about dreams. The interesting thing about Walt Disney's dream, I think, is that it was a dream for others. You know, he wanted to, because what is the core product of Disney? It's happiness. That's the core product. That's what Walt Disney, I suppose, in the initial days wanted his theme parks to be. And then came all the characters, Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and Goofy and all the movies, hailed as masterpieces, a lot of them. So this is the sort of dream I'm talking about. So I suppose the question for all of us is, what is your dream? It's an interesting one. I, as I've said a few times now, I used to write these commentaries, and now I'm doing videos. I mean, I don't know where these are going to go. I suppose for me, my dream with this is just that it connects with people. Even if it touches one person, I feel like the dreams have been fulfilled. There are other people on YouTube. One guy who I follow, he's got 400,000 subscribers. 400,000 subscribers. I mean, I bet he felt the same way. He thought, well, I'll just see how I go, and I'll create something. And I know he believes he wants to make a positive difference in the world, and I truly believe he is so. So, yeah, that's a dream that he had. But let's go back to your dream. What is it that you want to achieve? Because we only have this life to do this stuff, and once this life is over, people have views about what happens after this life, but I suppose you just keep it to this life. What do you want to achieve? Is your dream like really, really big and it's going to take a bit of effort to achieve? Well, if that's okay, because some dreams become big. I mean, J.K. Rowling had a dream of Harry Potter, and look where that got her. Steve Jobs had a dream for Apple, and look what happened to that. We had dreams of landing on the moon, and well, that happened as well. So dreams can be big. But we can get a little bit, I suppose, dejected about stories like that one when we consider ourselves and think, well, I don't ever think I'm going to be as big or as important as that. And often, the J.K. Rowling story, which is well known now, being rejected by lots of publishers until one publisher said yes. She held on to her dream, and she was living in a one-bedroom apartment when she wrote Harry Potter. She held on to that dream, and that dream became a reality for her. I suppose that's what makes her story so compelling, is because she didn't see herself as much when she wrote the stories. But your dream, do you have a dream? Do you have something that's going to make a positive difference in this world? Because that's what dreams need to be, I think. They need to benefit humanity. They need to be a positive influence. That's what dreams should be, I think. So what is your dream? If we think about a dream being, I'm going to buy a house one day. Well, the house just doesn't magically turn up the next day. There are normally a few steps to buying a house. We work out, say for instance, you're building a house. You've got to work out what you want the house to look like. Then you've got to organise a builder. You've got to organise the finance. And eventually you'll get the house, but then after that you've got to landscape it and put the stormwater in and all the other bits and pieces you do. So the dream of particularly for us here, we built this house. And step by step we had this house, but then we had to do the paving and everything else after it. A dream is a series of steps. It's a series of steps. It doesn't just naturally happen. It is a series of steps. And so it's almost like every step is a realisation of part of the dream. And so I suppose the question for all of us is, what is that next step? If we really, really want a dream to come to fruition and really want it to become a reality, well, we are the ones that are going to bring that dream into fruition mainly. I mean, there'll be people around to help, but at the end of the day, the realisation of the dream is yours. So if you do have a dream, fantastic to have a dream. It really is. It motivates us. It enables us. It excites us. Perhaps it's time to write down, if you haven't already, the steps it's going to take to get to that dream. Often one of the things that stops dreams is the cost of them. Well, maybe the big amount of money that might be needed for your dream will happen down the track somehow. But I think in the early stages, you just need to write down the steps of how the dream's going to be realised. Because, it's quite funny that we can't always see what things are going to completely look like. But if we just kind of start things off, the picture continues to emerge. the picture starts to take form, and our brain is given space to know that we have launched off somehow. So, I've talked about Jeff Lynne ELO back in 1970. He had a dream together with the Roy Wood, to see what would have happened if the Beatles had kept going, and he has explored that. He released an album every year, world tours. He didn't have the money at the start, but because his dream became successful, he was able to fund things. And it seems to me that, money does make money. It's what we do with that money, what we can do to make the world a better place with that money, that actually makes the difference with money, I believe. So if you have a dream, hold on to it. Hold on tight to it. If you don't have a dream, you are worthy to have a dream. You are an important enough person to have a dream, because in you there is wonder and magic and power and blood pumping through your veins. I seem to have used that statement a few times during this ELO series. So if you don't think you're worth having a dream, you do. Think about what that dream might be and write some steps. And take the first step towards realising that dream. So I trust this will be an encouragement to you. I think the man in our story, that on the Time album, dreamt of a life that would be better in a different time. This album was 1981, and the time he went to was 2095. Not a long time into the future, but enough for it to be a significant change. It didn't work out for him, but in a lot of ways he discovered who he was as a person, particularly realising that he did belong where he actually was. And maybe he did reconcile with the girl because he misses her terribly, and I think there's another dream there too. So I trust this has been an encouragement for you today. So on to the clips. Now I've had to include Hold On Tight. This is the official video clip, because it was released as a single. So, we've got some new sort of usual footage, and it's quite a quirky little clip. It just really, to me, just sums up this this song so well. So we've got that one. I've also included Twilight and Prologue, the Prologue and Twilight. I just put those two together. When I first heard this song, particularly the way it starts, I was blown away by it. I went, oh my goodness, what a fantastic song. And when the drums come in, my hair stood up on my arms. So I've had to include Twilight. Now, unfortunately, the thing about ELO is that we're starting to get into songs that aren't performed as much, and so we haven't got the beautiful, pristine live performances that we have from some earlier songs. Twilight is recorded live; it is sung live, but you don't get all of what this song is without the studio version. So I've actually included the studio version, and I did find this clip because this album's all about time travel, and you think about spaceships very quickly. This little clip has been entitled Beyond 2095, and there's that year again, which was in the second song of the album. And I think it's just someone who's put some clips to the Twilight song. You might see some. I think there's some innovations in there that are actually a reality. But to me, particularly the way the spaceships are just soaring through the sky, it just really complements this song really, really well. So I trust you'll enjoy looking at that one. There's another clip another video to Here Is the News. I encourage you to look at that one as well. That one's very nicely got a lot of the band members in it, so have a look at that one as well. Here Is the News. Feel like have a look at that one if you would like. And I've also included the commentary to my last ELO video, which was Xanadu. So feel free to look at that if you want to recap. As I always say at the end of these videos, because I don't want to push people, if you like this video, please give it the thumbs up. That would be great. And if you want to subscribe to this channel, I reflect on life through music, and I really just want my words to be encouragement to anyone who listens. I hope that you've connected. If you actually have hung around to the end of this video, thank you very, very, very much for that. That's fantastic. But if you did like this video, please subscribe, and that would be great. So that's it for today. The ELO story is going to continue for a little while yet. So I trust you enjoyed today, and until next time, I'll see you. So bye for now.